Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse April 3rd, only on Netflix.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does without me lifting a finger, so I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this is your Bloody Happy Hour. Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody happy hour.
Okay, let's get going. Hey y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
What is this podcast called?
Bloody Happy Hour.
Yes, it is.
And sometimes on Bloody Happy Hour, we tend to take excursions.
Yeah,
outside of
we
the
do.
studio. And last week,
one.
maybe not a lot of you knew, because I still have not seen anything on the news about this.
We had an inside.
We had a little inside scoop.
We got a little tip.
We got a little anonymous tip, not anonymous tip, that you want to revisit the Baylor basketball scandal with Carlton Dotson and Patrick Dennehy. And Carlton Dotson has recently been released on parole. And he had been in Austin for quite some time, I guess a year or so. And he recently was transferred to one and only Waco.
Caroline, how do you know all this information?
We have an inside scoop because we're
did he
Bloody
tell
Happy
you?
Hour.
Did he tell you this
Pretty
stuff?
much.
So we found out he was coming and the time.
Yes.
And the location. And we went to backyard, had a drink, and we took a detour.
We took a detour to the bus depot, and we met Carlton Dotson.
Yes.
And we interviewed Carlton Dotson. And we're going to put that interview on Patreon for those of you who are interested. And you can go watch and hear what he has to say and hear if he is guilty or innocent based on what he says.
Yeah. It made me go rewatch the documentary. I have a friend that believes he's innocent. But if you watch the Disgrace documentary, it's on Prime now or Paramount Plus.
Fully believes he's innocent.
Fully. 100%. It will piss you off all over again. I got pissed off all over again. And you will tear up all over again because it is a devastating story. But the guy that we met, and maybe people say this all the time, I told Caroline later on, I was like, I might officially be the person that writes letters to killers in prison. And not he's infamous, right? They're notorious, and we don't want to idolize them. But when you've heard a story for the last 20-something years, and you've passed by it, and you've covered it, and you watch documentaries, and then you run into them in public, you're almost like, what? This is real. This is happening. You're free. The person you killed, allegedly, is not alive and has not been since 2003. And then you meet them, and they're not scary, and they do seem like they have a mental illness, a cognitive or intellectual disability. It's like, man, this is even sadder if you were in a severe psychotic break and
It's like a
you
mind
did
fuck.
this. Yeah.
Kind of just messes with you. Like, okay, what? Because we didn't see a trial, you know.
There wasn't a trial. All the information can come out of the trial. 2 out of 3 doctors declared him incompetent, but we had some lawyers that covered him here, and they were protecting a lot. They were protecting our city. They were protecting Baylor, and with the scandal that came out with Dave Bliss, that could have hijacked the trial, right? It could have hijacked it, and so maybe they were just protecting Patrick and Baylor and everything. But he did go to institution,
yeah.
but then he went to jail.
Yeah.
Like a real prison for a long time.
Yeah.
And that you probably don't come out of there sane after 22 years.
I would think so.
Hopefully he stays on his medication. So, Patreon, that's coming to you. It's a little fuzzy because there's a bus in the background.
Yeah, we're gonna try to clear it, edit out the background noise, and then put some captions on it so you can see what we say. But yeah, it was a quick little 4-minute deal.
Yeah.
So
And
let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. We're bringing you the content that nobody's brought you because I don't know. Do they not know? I have no idea.
Maybe they don't want to make a big deal out of it.
We thought it would be a big deal.
I don't
but
know.
no,
Yeah.
it's not.
I just for sure knew Julie Hayes would be on it.
I guess not.
She's the one that covered it from beginning to end.
Maybe I should tell her that he's back. She might not even know.
I need to shout out one of our listeners that I ran into Saturday. And I was getting a drink or maybe paying out at Backyard, and somebody came up to me and says, "Are you April?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she goes, "It is her. I knew it. So she told her husband she thought it was me, Bloody Happy Hour. She's been a listener since the beginning. She's came to a live show. So the husband wasn't sure if it was me, but then he saw Sweet Pea, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's..." If she said her husband's country, that's Sweet Pea because he had on his cowboy hat or whatever. So anyways, it was great. We talked about you because you should have been there because even Lauren was there. You were there the next day. Anyways, shout out. I forgot the name. I was inebriated. I wasn't driving, but it was her and her husband. She was at the concert at Backyard. Thank you for making me feel famous for 17 seconds.
And this is like the third time within 1 week where we've had people come up to us because like I had somebody at Shorty's come up to me, and then the person who yelled at you in the parking lot, and then this. So it was just kind of funny.
Yeah. Love.
So here we go.
Where are we going? What are we doing?
We're going to California. I had never heard of these murders.
Okay.
And it doesn't give like an extreme amount of information, but it just like hits like the main points.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing. Have you heard of the Sunset Strip killers?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we're going to talk about Doug Clark and Carol Bundy.
Oh, shit.
Our relation.
Nothing can come good for a Carol or a Bundy.
Okay, so let me know whenever you hear a red flag.
I'm going to drink
Go ahead, get your
Angry
drink.
Orchard.
Good.
It's going to be my new favorite.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about Doug Clark's, like his early life, then Carol Bundy's early life, and then this other man, and then I'll tell you what they did. So Doug Clark was born
I love early life.
Okay, March 10th, 1948. He was the third son of 5 children to a retired naval admiral turned international naval intelligence officer. So he grew up they were a good, well-to-do family. He was a military brat, moved frequently during his childhood due to his father's job, and he later claimed that he had lived in 37 different countries, including India, Switzerland, and the Marshall Islands.
Totally normal.
Totally normal. It's great. In 1958, his father left the Navy for a civilian position as an engineer with the Transport Company of Texas, but the family still moved around. And Doug was sent to the exclusive International School of Geneva. During his teenage years, he started to record his sexual escapades with girls at the school without their knowledge. And this was where he went to
high school?
High school.
Okay.
Teenage years.
Wow. What
he
year
was
is this?
the bad apple. He was the bad apple. Well, if it was 1948, he was born.
Okay.
So it's probably 1960.
They barely had camcorders.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how. He probably. He could have been like a whole ass video camera. I don't know. Hidden camera. He recorded his sexual escapades with the girls without their knowledge and began developing dark sexual fantasies of rape, murder, mutilation, and necrophilia.
Oh, it just developed.
Just developed.
It was the Marines.
When he graduated school in 1967, Doug enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. And and was stationed in Colorado and Ohio. He was eventually discharged from the Air Force, and he drifted around for the next decade, working often as a mechanic. He moved to L.A., and he was employed as a steam plant operator for the L.A. Department of Water and Power, working at Green Valley Generating Station before just randomly quitting for no reason. And he eventually became a boiler operator at the Jergens soap factory in Burbank, but was fired due to high rate of absences and violent threats that he made towards his coworkers. So it was during this time that he spent the majority of his spare time in bars and at nightclubs hunting for lonely, older women who he could seduce out of their money.
Older? Wait, what happened to Mom? I don't remember.
There's no mention of
There's no
Mom.
mention of a mom. Okay. That's why there's an older woman.
Yeah, there's no mention of Mom. And he's looking for women who have been newly divorced, who have got a insurance claim, whatever. He's looking for some old women with money.
Okay.
Okay? Because apparently he's like somewhat good looking. There's several different. I read several articles and watched a few different things, and little bitty things are different. Like little bitty details are different.
Yeah.
But
probably especially for back then.
Yeah,
if they said he was good looking, like they were good looking.
Yeah.
At least back then.
So he would try to seduce these women out of their money, and then one of the bars he frequented was in an area called Little Nashville. And this is also in California. Okay. It's just a bar. And this is where he met 37-year-old Carol Bundy. Now, who's Carol Bundy? Carol Bundy was born August 26, 1942. So she was a little bit older, like 6 years older. Both of her parents were abusive alcoholics.
Oh, Carol, nobody with Bundy has a chance.
You had no chance. Oh, it gets so much worse. So her mom dies when she's young. Her mom was the main abuser of, like, physical abuser. Like, would lock
her?
Yes, locked her out of the house, thought she was ugly and fat and didn't care, like, just thought she was just, no.
How do you...
And would, like, throw things at her and, like, throw these big tantrums and fits. And then one time she just goes, she's taken to the hospital, and Carol is, I guess, at school. Dad comes home and is like, Mom went to the hospital and she died. Literally. That's it. We don't know how.
Somebody killed her.
And so Dad was like, and there was two siblings. It was her and a sister, Carol and his sister Vicky. Well, first, Dad was like, okay, well, I need a wife, so one of y'all are going to be my wife.
Oh, Carol.
So I think Carol pulled the short straw And
man.
Carol basically took the place of his wife, made her sleep in his bed, and would start sexually abusing her around
Are we still in California?
the age of 11.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Damn.
actually, I think she was born in Massachusetts.
Two shits.
And somehow eventually it ended up in California. But like she wasn't mad about it. She just was like, well,
That's how it's supposed to be.
That's what happens.
It's my job.
It's my job. But then her father eventually met and remarried another lady a couple of years later.
Okay.
And was like, I don't
Carol,
need
you can
y'all
go back to your
anymore.
room.
You can just go and live in some foster homes.
Oh, gave them up?
Gave them up.
Come on, Daddy Bundy.
Mm-hmm. So she's about 17 years old. She's already lost her mom. Her dad abused her and gave her up for adoption. And now she's 17 and she's married to a 56-year-old man.
Because now she's got daddy issues. The other one's got mommy issues. She's got daddy issues.
Can you see? This is not going to be good. Well, she's only lasted with this dude for just a short amount of time. She went on to divorce and marry several times. And she eventually became a vocational nurse. She was on her third marriage at the time. And this guy was an abusive man who she had 2 kids with. They eventually divorced. And she began seeing her married apartment manager and part-time country singer, Jack Murray.
Oh, yeah. Got a CD.
Tried to bribe him. And she tried to bribe. So this Jack guy that she meets, he's married. Okay. He's the apartment manager. She tries to bribe him into leaving his wife. Okay. And I'm going to explain to you in a second how this came about. Instead of leaving his wife, instead of leaving him, Jack's wife convinced him to evict her.
Yeah, bitch.
To evict Carol from the apartment, which led her to continuously show up at venues where Jack was singing. So then now she's becoming this like obsessive stalker. And it's at one of these venues at a bar called Little Nashville where Carol first meets Doug Clark, the other guy who we're talking about.
They're meant for each other.
Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about Jack Murray.
Oh, hell.
So it's Jack is, if I say John, it's John Jack Murray. But it's,
come on. His mom could have been
I know.
a little bit more creative.
So this is Jack Murray, the guy who's the apartment complex manager / country singer. So Carol was obsessed with Jack. He was good looking, charismatic, and she was not. She was unattractive. Everything I read is like she's fat and ugly.
Oh,
she's fat and ugly. She has short brown hair. She has these thick glasses, and she is just not attractive. But she's like the sexual person. She always is talking about sex all the time. It's all she wants to talk about. So Jack was like a good guy, ish, I guess, not really, because he would offer to go like fix things with Carol's apartment, and they would get into talking, they would get into deep conversations, and she was flattered by him for listening to any stories that she had, and she was just like, thought that it was really nice of him to come fix her stuff and talk to her about his life and her life and all these things. And by the third time that Jack came over to help her fix something, she had bought his favorite type of beer and had in the apartment, so they got to drinking, which led to them getting in bed and doing the dirty. Jack and Carol.
So
yeah.
He evicted her for no reason. He could have had
well,
her
at this point, this is pre-eviction. Because this is explaining who he is.
Okay.
And how even they got into the situation. So after she got him his beer, they drank, they had their night together in bed, she was in love.
Oh,
she was in love. Overweight, unattractive, terrible eyesight, bordering on blindness.
Oh, man.
Jack helped her find a surgeon to correct her eyesight and let her know that she was eligible for disability.
Okay.
I did not know about that. She also became even more in love with him and begged him to leave his wife, but he said his wife had cancer and he could not leave her for at least 2 years.
So let me keep you secret for 2 more years.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it.
Along with her disability, she also had received other money from the sale of a previous home that she had with one of her previous marriages. So she was like coming into some money, okay? And she felt like she really needed to help out Jack since he helped her out with like fixing all of her things and letting her know that she could get disability.
Service.
Yeah. So she was like, here's $10,000. I'm going to help you pay for your wife's cancer treatment. And thinking, she was like, surely this is going to better my chances with him and help him to convince him to for sure leave his wife. Well, guess what? He did not leave his wife.
Obviously.
And so Carol decided she was going to go to the wife and tell everything. And she was going to say,
so she got her own self evicted.
I
Run in your mouth.
heard about your cancer. I gave him $10,000 to pay for it. This and this and this, blah, 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 blah. And she's like,
Cancer?
I've never had cancer.
What is that?
Cancer, you say?
We went on a vacation with your money.
Yeah. So Carol is like, excuse me, what? And the wife was like, oh, no. He used that money to pay for his van, fix his van, pay for his van. And this is when she offered the wife $1,500 to leave Jack. So now she's bribing. So this is why she's bribing her to leave him. Okay. So now she's given them $11,500.
Yeah.
She said she would. She's like, yeah, I'll leave him. Bitch, no. She done took the money and run.
That ain't enough money.
And she never did. And then it was 3 days later where Jack was playing at this little Nashville place where she meets Doug Clark.
Okay.
So by the time that he met Doug, she met Doug. Yeah. She had, developed quite a talent for, this is Doug. He started getting really good at meeting these unattractive women who had money.
And seducing
them and getting money from them. And he would be able to live rent-free, he didn't have to pay for anything. They would pay for food, they would pay for rent, just because of the attention that they gave. That they give him. So when the women started to catch on to what he was doing, and they started demanding things from him, he was out. Okay. So Doug charmed Carol, and he was much better looking than her at this time, allegedly. I don't think he's good looking at all, but he saw her as a meal ticket. He gets some money, and which within a few, I've heard, it's either days or weeks, Doug moves in with Carol pretty quick, soon after. And this is when they found out that they shared some dark sexual fantasies. Carol was very needy, and she wanted to keep Doug happy. She realized that she would do virtually anything to keep him happy. And this is when he managed to get her to buy 2 handguns in her name.
What?
What was that? And just, and so that way, if the guns were ever used for any type of crime, it's in her name and they're registered to her. So she's going down, and I guess she doesn't care. So Doug made himself comfortable moving in with Carol. He carried one of the guns. She carried the other one. He drove her car, and he started soliciting prostitutes because they're all about that. She was sexual. He was sexual.
They were doing it together like Barbie and Ken. Okay.
Yes. So he solicited these prostitutes for threesomes, and on one occasion, Doug brought home an 11-year-old neighbor kid. And instead of Carol being like, whoa.
That was normal.
No.
She was like, I started when I was 11.
Exactly. She participated in the pedo activities. But this first one, it was just like, hey, come over. Let's take some photos of you. Let's do this. Oh my gosh. Whatever you do, let's molest you. It's fine. And then they were just getting off on their own fantasies. They didn't kill her or anything. They just, okay. This is how we're going to start. Great. So once she saw how happy if he was happy, she was happy. And she was happy because he was happy. I mean, it's just a happy.
Win-win.
And Doug eventually said to her, a woman who really loves me will kill for me. That's prophetic. That's just so prophetic. So that's whenever they went and they picked up their first prostitute together.
Okay.
Who they ended up murdering together.
Well.
And over a course of 15 weeks, 6 people would be shot dead by Carol and Doug, and 2 would be decapitated.
Oh.
Let me tell you. Bundy and Clark had developed an intense sadomasochistic relationship.
100% it is.
And Clark frequently brought sex workers back to the couple's apartment to have threesomes. And
was he ever, did we say anything about him being abused in his childhood?
No, he just was I think he just was off, and he was in military, and he just
probably happened. He
randomly
probably
got into it, and he probably had no attention. And he had no mom, I guess, apparently.
Something had to happen.
Yeah, it didn't tell me anything, all the things. So he was like, this is whenever he persuaded, because he wanted the pistols, he wanted the guns, because he wanted to fulfill this fantasy of killing a woman during sex so he could feel her contractions as she died.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's totally normal. Okay, yeah. So in June, guess when you die, your vaginal region must do a thing, and it does a thing for your thing and all the things. So in June 1980, there was a group of snake hunters off of the Golden State Freeway in San Fernando Valley, and they discovered a woman's mummified corpse. She was identified as 17-year-old Sacramento runaway Marinette Carey Comer. Doug had picked her up on Sunset Boulevard in Carol's new car, shot her 4 times as she struggled to escape, then gutted her with a knife and left her body out there, and it was not found for 3 weeks.
Damn.
So he did this all by himself just to get the feeling, and she was not involved in that one. Okay. So a couple weeks later, stepsisters Gina Morano, 15, and Cynthia Lee Chandler, 16, vanished from Huntington Beach while trying to meet with friends. They were found the following morning beside the Ventura Freeway near Griffin Park in Los Angeles. Each had been shot in the head. Doug later came home and told Carol about the 2 teenagers and that he had murdered them after picking them up at the Sunset Strip. He ordered them to perform fellatio on him, and he shot both of them in the head before taking them into a garage and raping their dead bodies. Shit. So Carol at this point did call the police.
Oh, why?
To tell them that she knew that these 2 people had been murdered, but that's all she knew, and she didn't know who did it, and that's all she did.
Oh, was that her guilt?
Doug, at this point, she refused to provide any clues as to who did it or whatever. She just basically called them and was like, oh, these people are dead, bye. That's what it seems like.
Quit looking for them.
Yeah. So Doug told Carol that if either of them were caught, that he would take the blame.
Oh, yes.
In the hope that she would be allowed to go free. Yeah. What a man. What a great man.
That's why I want the guns in your name and not mine.
Yeah, sweetie. Then later that month, Doug decided he needed to go do it again, and he kills 24-year-old Karen Jones and 20-year-old Exie Wilson. So Doug shot Exie Wilson in the head with this .25 caliber revolver, and he did it while she was, and I'm going to use multiple terms for this because I've already used fellatio, so I've got to use another one. While she was orally copulating him, he shot her in the head. So he's giving her a BJ. She's giving him a BJ, and he shoots her in the head while mid-BJ.
You're going to, where's the bullet got to come out somewhere and hit your leg?
I don't know.
Oh,
At that point is when he cut off her head with a buck knife.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, by the way, it gets pretty gruesome, just so you know. So trigger warning for all the things. Yes, it does get worse. So he, yeah. With the knife, and he left her body on the side of the street. Karen Jones was the last person to see Exie Wilson alive, so Doug was like, oh, I have to go back, and now I have to go kill her to make sure she don't say anything, so then he kills her. But the worst part of this is that once he decapitated Exie, he kept her head.
You know, sometimes you gotta have a souvenir.
He,
Ed Kemper. He did it before Ed Kemper.
He brought it home, put it in the refrigerator. Well, then Carol the next morning wakes up.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Carol sees it the next morning. She's about to cook
She's
breakfast.
trying to get eggs and bacon and get a sausage breakfast, and she finds a head.
And I bet she still cooked.
Okay.
I bet
if I were to open my refrigerator and I see a damn head, I'm going to think it's, first of all, a cake. Like it's a joke. Like it's a cake.
Oh, yeah.
A head cake. I don't think it's a real human head.
Are you still going to cook breakfast?
No.
No.
Mm-mm. I'm definitely not
I think Carol
cooking.
did.
It's worse.
What does she do? She cooks the head?
Mm-mm. She takes the head out and she starts putting makeup on it.
Oh, God, Carol.
So instead of calling the police like she did that one time, now she's like over calling the police, and she's like, she just asked, what did he have planned on doing with what do you plan on doing with this head? And he said he wanted it for necrophilic purposes.
Oh, he is Kemper.
And so she took the head out of the refrigerator and she put makeup on it and gave it to him to use in the bedroom. To do all the grotesque sexual things that he wanted to do. And Carol later on would go on and say, we had a lot of fun with her. I was making her up to look like a Barbie doll.
Oh, Carol.
Carol.
How ridiculous.
When Doug was finished with the head.
Because it was rotting.
He wrapped it up in a pink t-shirt. Oh, did I even say this part? Did I tell you about Merritt Comer?
Yeah, you talked about Comer.
Okay, Marnette Comer, who she was the first one. Did I say that she was wearing a shirt that said Daddy's Girl on it? Okay, so this very first victim that they had, she was wearing a t-shirt because she was a 17-year-old wearing a t-shirt that said Daddy's Girl on it.
But she wasn't a prostitute.
She apparently was.
Oh,
she
okay.
was just, she
wasn't
probably
Daddy's Girl anymore. Or
Yeah,
she was Daddy's Girl in the wrong way, which made her be a prostitute.
Yeah.
That's what that
so
was.
she was wearing that t-shirt. So then the head of Exie, they wrapped the head in the Daddy's Girl t-shirt.
Oh.
So bad. And they put it in a wooden box, dumped it in the alleyway close to where her body had been dumped. And they left it there and then for somebody to find. So they leave it there. They go back home, whatever. Somebody finds this head in a box. Medical examiner gets it. Medical examiner comes back and finds traces of semen around the lips. We could obviously already have put that together, that that's what was going on. And this discovery of the head in the box led finally to a police conference to figure out that they're like thinking, okay, we might need a little help from the public. The local community was by this time alarmed, and this is whenever they described these murders as the Sunset Strip killer. Because they didn't know. They just thought it was one person, because along the strip of whatever, these areas, it was all along the same area.
But it really has been just him.
He's been the one picking him up, yes, and doing it, and she just has been going along with it, and then eventually she does some stuff in a little bit. So then August 1980, so this all happens within like 2.5 months, like 13 weeks.
Okay.
So it's kind of it's almost like a spree killing. It's like a spree serial killing. Spree serial. Mm-hmm. Not even serial.
Yeah, it is serial.
It's serial
because
it's more than,
with break periods in between. They're just breaks for.
It's just spreeal because it's really
Spreeal.
6 within 13 weeks. Yeah. So August 1980, the body of another identified woman was discovered by a water tower. She had been shot in the head, and Carol alleged that Doug shot her in the head as she performed oral sex on him. And then sexually assaulted her body. Doug alleges that Carol shot the girl in the head as she performed sex acts on him. So they're basically like, they're saying, you did it, you shot when it was, they're starting to turn on each other. Okay. So basically all of these like secrets, because she's not telling anybody, they're starting to weigh on her, and she is starting to vent. And she has to vent to the one and only ex-lover, Jack John Murray,
who's at the CMT Awards because he'd made it.
Music singer. She goes, this is August 5th, 1980. She attends a country music performance. She basically goes to CMT Awards.
She goes to the real Nashville.
And, which is, to see her former apartment manager and ex-lover, Jack Murray.
I knew I should have waited on him.
After the performance, Carol talked to Murray drunkenly about what she and Doug had been doing. Gosh. I mean, she's probably bragging about it. And just with all these prostitutes, and Murray was clearly shocked. And he basically implied that he was going to tell the police.
Uh-oh.
And Carol did not like his attitude. Mm-mm. No, she thought this was going to maybe like turn him on or something. I don't know. And so she just decided she was going to keep drinking with him, and she was going to lure him to his van to have sex with him.
And he was probably going to go.
And he did. Go he went.
Even though you just found out she was a murderer.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. So when he got in the van, they were doing it, and she shot him and stabbed him and decapitated his head.
Oh, she did it all.
She just went all in. And unfortunately for Carol,
she's a Catherine Knight.
Yeah, we got a mixture.
Catherine and Barbie.
Yes. And unfortunately for Carol, she left a few pieces of evidence behind, like, the shell casings to the gun that were in his van that she's connected to. And then 2 days later, she confessed to her coworkers. And she said that she had killed John Murray. And the coworkers were like,
who's that?
Okay. Or Jack Murray. And they're like, okay, we're calling the police. Obviously.
Why would you ever say that out loud?
I don't know. She's just like, okay, guess what, Jack? I killed all these people. And then I'm going to kill Jack. Oh, hey, guess what, coworkers? I kill these people. I guess maybe those were going to be her next victims, but they decided that they were going to turn her in. So then she gives the police a full confession. Because now they've called police. They've picked up Carol. She gives a full confession of Doug's crimes.
Only Doug's.
Jack John Murray's head was never found.
Where did she put it?
I don't know. So finally, these two are arrested. Because, this is all happening really quick because this is in August. And this first murder was in June. So June, July, August, you're both arrested.
And you're supposed to be still during them hot summer months.
Oh, yeah, no. So after they're arrested, the murder weapons were found hidden at Doug's workplace. And Carol was charged with 2 murders, and Doug was charged with 6. So I don't know where I think that adds up. But she obviously murdered Jack John.
Probably the one that they couldn't figure out who shot who during the blowjob.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, that one. Yeah. So throughout Doug's case, which began in 1982, he intentionally caused delays by complicating and drawing out the process and just misuse of this, and courts did this, and he was just trying to lag it on and draw it on. And, I guess he's one of those narcissists that just thinks he is smarter than everyone in the room and decides to represent himself. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He had all these demands that were all denied, and then he was eventually granted access to the law library since he was representing himself and blah, blah, blah. At his trial, he tried to blame Carol for everything. Remember when he said he was not going to blame her for anything? It was going to... Yeah. Well, no, that didn't happen. I
believed him.
I did too. I really did. And so he tried to blame Carol for everything and saying that he had been manipulated.
He was.
The
money had him blind.
It did. But you know what, April? The jury did not believe him.
Well,
I'm shocked. And he was sentenced to death in 1983.
Ooh, death. I didn't expect that.
Death, straight up death. Per California law, all death sentences are automatically appealed and reviewed. And upon review in 1992, his sentence was upheld and he remained on California's death row.
And then... Until what?
His death from natural causes in October 2023.
Just now?
He was 75 years old.
Wow.
Carol took a plea deal.
Why would he be on? This was 83 when he went in. Why are you going to be on death row that long?
I don't know.
Didn't you say 83? Did I make that up?
No, yeah.
93? He
was arrested in 80. His trial began in 82. He was sentenced in 83.
Why would you be? That is why states get rid of, like, you know how much money it costs?
Yes. Like, why are you on
that long?
Why does it take so long? I guess because, I don't know, you go through appeal, you go through, you're just living on death. Just kill them. When they get on there, just be like, okay, bye.
There should be, like, a minimum and a maximum amount of time.
You get 1 week. You get your last meal.
Because then we'd have a lot of innocent people that would be dead. But there should be, like...
Okay, what do you
get? A minimum and a maximum amount of time. No, because appeals take too much. But it shouldn't be... How many years is that?
About 57, 83? I don't know. 83 to 2023.
I think 20 years should be the max. Because you need time for, like, things to progress, right? Like science to progress and...
40 years.
No.
40. 23 minus 83. 40 years. For real? I hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. Carol took a plea deal, and in return for her testimony against little Dougie, and she was sentenced to 52 years. 52 to life is what she was sentenced to.
But she's already overweight.
Carol Bundy.
She couldn't see.
Was too fat for her own good. And she died in prison from heart failure in 2003.
Yes. That was going to happen in 2003 either way.
So they both died before they could even live their sentences. And that is all I got for the story of these two nasty-ass sunset killers.
Ridiculous. The name is, it's great name. Like, they don't deserve the sunset killers' names.
No.
They need a new name.
They need I don't know what they need, like the raunchy roadside rank ranchers. I don't know.
Sunset killers sounds like they're, like, hot and, like, dressed well, wear, like, Ray-Bans and, no. They don't deserve it.
Because even in one of the things I watched, the people were talking about this Doug Clark. And they're like, he's nasty. His hair is all matted to his face. He's got gross look. He's like nasty looking. I was like, I thought y'all said he was handsome.
I know.
I'm
so
confused.
He must have just been handsome compared to her.
I guess so.
And you're so visual. I'm surprised you didn't look at
Oh, I've looked Oh yeah, it's I
bad.
don't know. There's a picture with he had an eye patch on, and there's a picture of her, and she's looking like a.
Oh, I love an eye patch though.
Okay, well maybe you would think he was
Reminds
handsome.
me of Jack Sparrow. What's his name? Dale Clark.
Doug Clark, and Carol Bundy. You're gonna love it. Doug Clark.
Wait, wasn't Ted Bundy's wife Who did he marry?
Well,
Wasn't her name Carol? That just. Ooh.
It could have been somebody he
Doug.
dated, but I don't think he married the one that he was in love with.
No, yeah, the one that he killed people after.
The one that he kept
Stephanie
around
or
forever.
whatever. Yeah. No. Yeah. When he was in prison, he ended up getting married. I feel like it was Carol Wilkerson.
Oh.
Or that's somebody on my Facebook page. Sorry if it is.
It's
But I feel
probably
like
his
there was a
sister. I mean, I think it would be a sister.
Because he ended up having a kid. Carol Ann Boone. I knew it was Carol.
Yes. But that's not this one. This is Carol.
Yeah. It just sounded like it went together well.
And listen,
hearing
this
Carol
was back
Bundy.
in like the 40s. Oh, 80s. Okay, but like back, I mean, that is 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't think America was that fat back then. Like we weren't as over.
In the 80s?
Yeah, I don't think. Because,
that might have been when we first started getting.
Okay, so
like after the
I think
70s
that's-
when people stopped doing drugs.
yeah, so I think that's why they are like
So harsh.
so like, oh, she was, because every single like article, they're just like, she was fat and ugly.
And now they're not even going to put that on there.
No, like I was just trying to be like, she's overweight and unattractive. But I would assume that there weren't many fat people back then because you were still skinny drug people or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, I feel like America
Our
didn't
America's
start
food was a little
yes,
bit better
like
back
we
then.
didn't start having such an obese society.
Till that year.
I mean,
Carol
until
started it.
that year, or maybe until like the 90s. When I don't know. Listen, I'm not RFK. I do not know all the statistics of the people whenever we got fat and all the things.
Yeah.
But I look at her and I'm like, she didn't look that fat.
Oh yeah, that's not even.
But
what.
like I'm like back in the day, maybe she was considered like 600-pound life or whatever.
Oh wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's not even like what.
And she's like your average person that you see on the street. She's not cute.
And she was so she wasn't even a killer. She was just so desperate to keep her man that she did all that.
She
That
doesn't
is
look
what's
to me. I
scary.
wouldn't describe her as fat. I would just,
No.
which is kind of. I mean,
Wow. Harsh journalist back then.
she definitely was blind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad that she was just that thirsty to keep a man that she was willing to put makeup on a head, leave it in your freezer. Where'd you put your hamburger meat? Where'd you put your broccoli?
In the refrigerator. Right next to the salad
Well,
and a chicken breast.
that was a great story. I've never heard of them. How
Well,
did you
you're-
find it?
I found it on
10-Minute Murder.
10-Minute Murder.
You got all the time in the world, and you're still 10-Minute Murder. I know.
can't.
I can't either.
I know.
All right. Well, great story. I love the quick ones, and we hope y'all loved it too. If you did, you need to send it to like 16 friends.
Yes. Don't forget to like and subscribe and
Yes.
follow and rate and review and all the things.
And it has come to our attention that our Vanessa Guillen, I just had somebody text me again.
Oh.
Vanessa Guillen Part 1 episode starts off as the OnlyFans model episode. So it has been fixed. However, it's not fixed for everybody. So you might have to X out of the app, start all over. Or a couple people said that they had to delete it and re-download it in order. Mine fixed automatically.
I don't even know how to delete it.
Like you delete an app. No,
Oh,
like
close
yours.
out the app?
Yeah. Well, one of them had to delete their Spotify app and then
Oh my God.
download
Well, good for you for being dedicated enough to delete and
I know my friend
re-download.
Crystal was like,
I moved on to another one. I'm dropping it right after all that. Thanks, best friend Crystal. Okay, well, that is it. We love y'all. Don't forget to stay aware, stay alive, and always be DTF. Goodbye. If you're real DTF, you're going to go to the bus station and say, need about it.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.